Hello, everyone. I am Megan Marini, and I'm hopping on to talk to you about developing talent and 3 techniques that I use and that I think are so important when you want to work with helping other people develop into their best self. And I just had to hop on and share. So sometimes all we need is a whisper, and that's usually all we need. I'm going to share a little bit more than that. So the way that it works is we need to, and I know many of you know this, right? You're already coaching people, you're already in leadership roles, you're on a team and you've been working with learning how to develop those around you. We always want to come back to self and source. So are we developing ourselves? So I think of it as being in a place of transformation and able to sort of outthink our past self, right? And outperform our past selves. So to be able to do that, you need to be able to out-perspective yourself. And the only way you can do that is with outside help. So having a coach, having a therapist. I have a business coach, a public speaking coach, as well as a biofeedback and behavioral psychologist that I use to help me constantly be growing and developing. I had a spiritual coach since January. So yeah, right? If we're not learning new techniques ourselves, then we'll become static in our own growth. And it's really hard to inspire others to be growing in that state of transformation when we ourselves are not. So I want to just start there as like a little plug for our own personal growth. And then give you these 3 techniques, which I think are very important. So when we're coaching or just having a conversation, even with a peer, one of the things that's really important is to understand their destination. So I oftentimes get hit up with advice from folks that are all well-meaning, and they'll import advice in from their experience of life that has nothing to do with where I'm going or even where I've been. So the problem with that is that they failed to ask the right questions before giving some advice, right? So we really want to be cautious when giving advice to make sure that we understand the destination for where they're going so we can actually help them get there. The way I like to think about this is asking the right questions, asking great questions. So you know, like the open-ended questions, the closed questions, how are you doing? Closed question. You can get an answer like good. And the person doesn't have to give you any more information, and that conversation can very well be over. When you ask a more thoughtful question, you'll get a more thoughtful answer. So what's the best part of what you do right now? What's the best part of your day? Tell me a time when you felt really connected to the team that you're on. If someone was coming into the company for their first day, what would you say is your favorite thing about the company and what you love about this place? You're going to learn so much more about how they experience the culture, how they think about their work day, than if you just were to say, okay, cool, this is your career pathing, yearly meeting. I want to know if you could do anything in the world, what would you do? So an open-ended question like that, it's too broad, right? And it's just, nobody's doing that work every day to say, if I could do anything in the world, what would I do? A few people are, but not most. So you end up with sort of an absurd answer, like I would be a philanthropist, or I'd work for the circus if I could do anything. It's not going to help you get anywhere with their career. But if you asked something like, if you could shadow anyone in the company for 4 hours, what role, or who would you shadow and why? What seat would you love to sit in for a week and try, and why? Now you're going to get into what it is that they're after in a way that's quite tangible and that you could, basically set up for them. You could say, well, let me see if I can even make that happen for you. So asking really good questions, and then you can invest and sort of collaborate with them to get to that destination. So the second is trust. So when we think about how to develop others, unless you have trust that is really foundational and solid, it's going to be hard for that person to really take your advice and to open up. And we need that if we're going to help people transform. So we can think about it, the way I like to think about my relationships is that they're so solid that we can be completely different on many things, but because we have so much mutual respect for one another, we can have a solid, strong relationship, and I can have a conversation about anything with anyone. That's how I want my relationships to be. And when I can create that much sort of understanding with my coaching clients, it's anything's possible, because you can get to the bottom of the truth with no fear. Now that's true power if someone's going to let you in like that, right? But they need to know that they're never going to be judged. So you have to be willing to open up to all difference. So I think of trust markers in marketing, logos on a website, testimonials that you see when you land on the site and you go, gosh, I'll buy that $20 book. Everybody seems to have loved it. It's a shortcut in the brain to understand if we can trust you. So, you don't want to spend 10 years getting to know someone before you can buy their book. You want to know quickly that, okay, this person has some information that I need. So we're looking for these trust markers, right? So I think of it in the corporate setting as very much these trust markers are things such as good listening skills, right? Ability to sense right and wrong and make strong decisions that affect everyone else around them, not just selfishly. Like, well, I didn't get this. If that's how you behave, no, people are definitely not going to trust you with their development. But if you say, well, that person's being toxic and it's affecting everyone, I'm going to own that this changes, right? Now people will trust you because it affects them directly. Making sure the right people get the right credit. You've witnessed something, you show up. It's basically showing that you are a person of integrity. People will trust you if they know what you stand for and that you'll stand up for them. Not being toxic yourself, not talking about people. And the way I like to think about this is specifically just don't screw up. So these trust markers are built, and if you follow Brene Brown's work at all on vulnerability and then trust, the way she describes it as these little, I can't remember her exact term, but the marble story, some of you will know, that there's these little deposits of trust that are built up over a long period of time. They can be lost quite quickly, right? And we want to make sure that in our small transactions of our day, we're showing people that they can trust us. And you can basically just think about it as not screwing up for other people. And that's how I like to think about it. Did I take all the right actions? Did I show up? Was I my true self? And you'll be able to know with some self-awareness if that's off, right? The way I like to think about it is, if this action I'm going to take, or this action I don't have the courage to take sometimes, if that was known by everyone in the company, would I be able to sleep at night? And if that answer is no, then you better take the action. You better find the courage, or get someone to coach you into the courage. So the third is my favorite. And it's really the impetus for this post, is to see in someone that which they are becoming. And oftentimes that which they are becoming, they don't even know. Otherwise they'd already be on the path of it, right? Maybe they are on the path, but as developers of other people, it's our responsibility to be able to be in that transformational state, like I was mentioning before, around letting go of who you remember them to be, or who they were in the past, or what their performance was, or some mistake they may have made, or what everyone in the office thinks about this person, to really be able to say what lies dormant and what is in the way. And the way that we want to think about this becoming is not that you're facilitating something for them, but that you're helping them facilitate their compass or their path. So you're simply there holding the space for them to uncover where it is that they're going, right? Because everyone has their own, what I would call unique medicine, and their own true north, like this is where I have to go. And you're there just helping excavate and remove things from their thinking, their mindset, their behaviors, so that they can find their way. So it's not you're importing your ideas ever on other people. You're asking questions, thoughtful questions, and you're allowing them to be who they are to become in your perspective. So I think of it as daring them and holding space for something yet unknown, right? So you're completely empty and you're helping them create that emptiness so that they can imagine something new. And I love that, to see in someone that which they are becoming. And I think some people have a natural knack at that, and then other people will have to work on it. So yeah, it's letting go of the past, right? So many of you know that I'm opening up a leadership course titled Unlock Your Infinite Potential, Conscious Leadership. So we're going to look at what our blocks are and reset for our full potential. And it's going to be in a small container. There's only 10 spots and it is invitation only. So if you or anyone that you know is interested in being interviewed to be in that beta group, let me know. I'm launching it quite soon. And yeah, so that's my little teaching for this week. Sometimes all you need is a whisper. I hope you're doing amazing, and I look forward to hearing from you.